Hello and welcome to another edition of Quantum Insights. I'm very excited about what we're going to explore today because it's about consciousness. It's about the two edges of consciousness. And you want to know at any one time in your daily life, what edge are you riding? And you want to know how to access each of those edges. So today we get to explore just what are those two edges? You want to know how to access those two edges. And ultimately, you want to become the master of these two edges of cutting edge consciousness. And when I speak of consciousness, I'm not simply talking about your levels of awareness. Now, that's obviously very important of how and to what degree we are aware of what's happening in and around our surroundings, both in our outer and in our inner environment. Obviously, consciousness is omnipresent. It is everywhere. It is everything that we know in form. However, something very interestingly, and maybe not as relevant, but I do want to mention it, consciousness is of levels, and we were talking about levels of awareness. Therefore, it does not meet, it does not reach truth and knowledge. That's truth with a capital T and knowledge with a capital K. That's really of creation. That's really of the universe. And it's transcendent, actually, of our own physical form. Now, that doesn't mean you cannot peer into that. You cannot be conscious of that or aware of that which is so greater than everything that it's not even consciousness. But on a practical level, on a pragmatic level, I want to share with you these two cutting edge, well, I should say edges of consciousness. And first and foremost, when I think about cutting edge, which is one, there's a cutting edge of consciousness. In other words, we're in the outer realm of our expansion of consciousness. We're learning, we're becoming aware of new things in nature. We're seeing trees and energy and animals in different ways. We're coming into a new relationship with our environment. We're coming into new awareness with our loved ones, our children. We're seeing them for their own growth. We're seeing our inner world for the depth and totality of it is as spirit, as the formless. We're seeing even in the cutting edge of our own consciousness, the coming of our own great awakening, both our individual awakening and our collective awakening. And when I think about cutting edge consciousness, I think about like a sword, that each of us has this incredible power to wield this sword. It's a sword of truth. It's a sword of consciousness. And on that sword are two edges to that sword. One is the cutting edge, and one is the bleeding edge. So the cutting edge actually allows us for great expansion, consciously to expand into our awareness, into our awakening. But the other edge, the bleeding edge, is equally as critical. Now, it's not as cool, because what's really cool is obviously the work that's being done in science around the cutting edge of consciousness, around mindfulness, about how we have this greater interconnectivity of our conscious field. That's evolutionary consciousness. But what I want to share with you also is that other edge, that bleeding edge. Because in the bleeding edge of our consciousness, we are able to cut away those parts of our life, or lives if you believe in that no longer serve us. In other words, we're able to work with the parts that are obsolete, that are no longer part of our lives in the way that they can be constructive to us to move forward in a cutting edge way. Now, cutting edge consciousness is really cool. And we see a lot of great work going on with transformational technology and in other arenas, both in arenas that are related to our health, arenas that are related to our science, and the merger of spirituality and science. But one of the things we're not talking about as much is the other edge, which is that bleeding edge. So I want to emphasize a little bit about the bleeding edge of your consciousness, because when we consciously can cut away the aspects that are no longer true for ourselves, we become a co-creator of our conscious reality, and that what is merging. In the Indigenous world, we refer to this as dreaming your world into being. In other words, you actually become a construct, a constructive player with the greater quantum field to create a new awareness, a new consciousness, a new reality for yourself. Very powerful to be in a discernment of cutting edge consciousness and bleeding edge consciousness. Even more powerful to know how to wield that sword of consciousness wherever that may serve you at any one particular part of your journey. So I hope you're really tuning into this, because I ask you, what edge are you riding? Are you riding that cutting edge? Are you riding that bleeding edge? Perhaps you're riding both. And that's the power that we have as conscious, sentient human beings, to be able to be in the discernment. Now, the indigenous cultures of old referred to this as indigenous alchemy. This is where we actually are tapping into a field of energy. We're taking our current design, personality, spirit, body, mind, and we're actually redesigning it. We're recrafting that in a way that brings forth new architecture. Now, I refer to this as the genius within you. That unique genius within you becomes the architect of the life that you ultimately want to live. And when we are able to tap into the, well, let's just call it the lead of our old design and convert it into the gold of who you're becoming, now that's cutting edge consciousness. That's using your mastery of bleeding edge consciousness to remove what's obsolete. This is the philosopher's stone. This is transcendent of actually what we think we're capable of doing, because we can become the creators, the designers of our own divine design, to allow our genius to emerge within our lives. So I hope you're enjoying this instance of, well, quantum insights, the cutting edge, the bleeding edge edition. And I look forward to sharing more with you around this, and would love to hear your feedback. And if you're watching my YouTube channel, there's a lot of great videos on there. Please subscribe to that, and you can enjoy more of these type of insights that may benefit your life in a way that allows you to quantum leap into who you're becoming and allows your genius to shine in the world. Well, blessings, and take care, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.